Welcome to the Sleepwoven Book. Tonight, we sink beneath the surface, not just of water, but of silence. This is a story about a place that should not exist, a room beneath a forgotten lake that remembers you once you found it. It doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It waits. This is the room beneath the lake. They call it Black Hollow. It lies at the bottom of an unmarked valley in a forgotten state, where even the maps curl at the corners. You won't find it on Google. It's not in hiking apps. But the locals know it, and they avoid it. They say the trees grow twisted around it. The birds refuse to sing near it. And in the dead of winter, when the air is perfectly still, you can hear something ripple beneath the ice. But no one will explain what. Jacob Merrill wasn't from around there. He didn't believe in stories. He was a diver, a real one, Navy-trained, deep-water certified. He'd been in places most men wouldn't even look at on a map. Oil rigs, submarine salvage, ancient wrecks. He'd been alone under crushing pressure for hours at a time. He didn't scare easily. So when someone in a roadside diner told him about Black Hollow, this deep, silent lake with no life and no bottom, Jacob smiled. He had been looking for a challenge. He didn't know he was being invited. It took him 3 hours to reach the lake from the last paved road. A steep hike, gear strapped to his back, GPS blinking weakly as the signal thinned. The woods here were old, moss-covered, crooked. When he reached the edge of the water, the world went quiet. No bugs, no wind, no birds. Just a lake, still and flat like black glass. He stood there for a long time, longer than he meant to. Something about the silence felt wrong, but he shook it off, checked his gear, set up a single-line buoy on shore, and without a word, he stepped into the water. The cold hit him instantly, not biting, but deep, ancient, like the water had never seen the sun. He flipped on his headlamp. The beam stretched maybe 10 feet. Below him, murk, silt and silence. He began to descend. 10 feet, 20, 50. His gauges were steady, heart rate calm. But around 80 feet down, his light caught something strange. A shape, square, not rock, not natural. At first, he thought it was part of an old dock, but as he swam closer, it became clear it was a hatch. Metal, clean, too clean, as though it had been placed there recently. He hovered over it, bubbles rising slowly past his mask. On the center plate were rusted letters. Do not open. He smirked. Someone's idea of a joke, he thought. Still, it looked like it had a seal. An airlock, maybe. He checked his depth, 147 feet. Plenty of time left. And so, he turned the handle. There was a click. A rush of air, not bubbles, not suction. And then a current pulled him downward, just for a second, then stopped. He looked around. He wasn't in water anymore. He was inside a room. The walls were concrete, old but dry. A faint light buzzed overhead, no visible source. The door had closed behind him. His flippers tapped against solid metal flooring. He turned in a slow circle. There was a desk, a chair, a coat rack, and along the walls, rows and rows of photographs. Black and white, color, Polaroid, hundreds of them. Each one was a picture of someone asleep, somewhere in beds. Some on couches, one on a forest floor, a child in a car seat, a woman in a hospital gown. And then there was Jacob, in the photo nearest the door. He was asleep, in his bunk. Last night, he hadn't shown anyone that photo. He hadn't even taken it. A voice crackled behind him. They always come looking. They always want to go deeper. So we let them. He turned, and the room shifted. Now, the photographs were moving. They blinked, breathed, whispered. He ran to the hatch. It was sealed. No handle, no lock, only silence. And a figure, standing at the back of the room. It had no face, just smooth skin where eyes should be. But it was watching him. He could feel it. Its head tilted. Then it mimicked him, step for step, gesture for gesture, like it was trying to remember how to be him. He backed away. The thing stepped forward. A speaker clicked. You dreamed of silence. Now sleep in it. Jacob screamed. The walls absorbed the sound. The lights dimmed, and the floor shifted beneath him, like something was breathing just under the surface. He collapsed, dizzy, cold. The last thing he saw was the figure kneeling beside him, its blank face inches from his, breathing in sync with his own. And then, darkness. When he woke, he was on the shore, alone, wet, but alive. His tanks were gone. His watch was cracked. The sun was setting. He'd been gone for nearly a day, but his mind was still there, in the room, in the silence. He never spoke about what happened. He left the town, sold his diving gear, moved to the desert. No water nearby, nothing deep. But years later, the photos came. They arrived in the mail. No return address. Black and white, poor quality. Each one a picture of him, asleep in his new apartment. One each week, then daily. He called the police. They found nothing. No fingerprints. No camera. No signs of forced entry. And still, the photos came. Until the final one, a shot of him underwater, eyes closed, surrounded by darkness. He moved the next day, but he was never seen again. Back at the lake, the hatch is gone. Divers have searched. Drones. Sonar. Nothing. Just water, cold and calm. But on quiet nights, bubbles rise, and sometimes voices echo faintly across the surface, repeating, "Do not open, do not open, do not open." And now you know about the room beneath the lake, about what waits for those who go too deep, about what remembers you even after you leave. Sleep well tonight. And if you hear water dripping, even though there are no pipes nearby, don't open your eyes. Thank you for listening to the Sleepwoven Book. If this story stayed with you, subscribe for new tales each week, some to calm, others to disturb. Until next time, good night, and don't dive too deep.